The Baker's Man Collective presents.
Which of the content do you currently produce that is most popular?
I try not to get political, but it's so hard for me not to for some reason.
Right?
I'm like kind of a political junkie, so I just educate on all things cannabis. And obviously the MORE Act came up recently, and so I started talking a lot about that, and I really just talking on it through a lens of what's best for the people, what's best for cannabis legalization. That's where I was advocating for. So I would criticize Republicans and Democrats, so it gave me a way to talk about politics that wasn't that polarizing. And that's been my most popular content, I would say, is a lot of that stuff. The main point I try to get across is that there's a problem in America where both parties are pretty bad. And what they do is they use wedge issues. They use those issues, and then when it comes down to like economic reform, which I think is a big problem, like classism is getting so big, the classes are getting too far apart.
The middle group is compressing. It's almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And then the rich are getting richer, and you start to see like white liberals, they talk a lot about racism and all that stuff, which is super prevalent, all 100% true, but they hate to talk about class reform or like big picture reform, right? When it talks about like, okay, like let's start to distribute this wealth.
You're gonna have to come up off your coins,
yeah,
maybe, or add a little bit more in taxes, and they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, look at the racism over there. Okay, well, how do we overcome that? Let's spread like economic empowerment. Yeah.
Give them what they need.
Yeah.
Give them food. Give them shelter. Then there would be less crime. How many other countries has to do this for you to figure it out? The reason why our system doesn't fix socialist issues is that we don't have a socialist system. We live in a capitalistic society, and it's working perfectly. So what? The people whose needs aren't being met, the people who are mentally ill or that are disenfranchised because of their skin color. So what? It doesn't matter. It was never made for people that look like me or that think like you. Like, unless you're worried about how your business is going to survive in this economy and what's happening, you're going in the most socially hated direction if you put it together, right? So like,
yeah, I mean, the rich are going to have to realize that they will talk about the number one issue, which is a huge issue, is racism, but it's really not. It's the rich's wealth, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not taking away, because there's absolutely racism for sure in our country, but
it's something we can argue about right now while not watching you make laws that still benefit your rich and wealthy, or while you take funding from your friends that are rich and wealthy to pass these laws. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's one system, because almost everyone gets touched by the corruptness. And if they don't, within hours of your death, they announce that they're going to replace your ass as quickly as possible so they can get things done. Game, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
instead
100%.
they want us bickering on what we look like right now while they're doing that stuff, or while they're
conquer.
Yes. And so like, it's frustrating, it's an issue, it's an everyday experience, but like, oh, I'm so tired about screaming about it, I'm so tired about crying about it. And
no, I know
to say you can't be political is dumb. Like, yes, go political, why not?
Yeah, well, I think there's a political way that I think can actually unify us. It's all really is what we're talking about is understanding that we agree on a lot of things. I mean, there's definitely disagreements with people, but like I try to reach out to Republicans and be like, you guys understand, like, populism is the thing that can be on the right and on the left, and we can all come together. Right now we have a system that Republican and Democrats, they listen to one class of people, and that's the donor class and not the actual people. And now they do 90% fundraising from their donor class when they should be 90% governing, doing their actual job. And the governing is what we check them on. We can't check them on the fundraising because we don't have the money, right? So they only listen to one class now, and that's the class that will divide us. That's the class that will pit us all against each other
while they're on their yacht, while they're figuring out how to get to Mars.
Exactly. 100%.
I'm glad that's your most popular content, because people need to be watching us talk about it. People need to be talking about it amongst their circles. Wake the fuck up, please.
Yeah. People get lost in the sauce there. They get lost in those wedge issues. They get lost in, I'm against you, you're against me. And it's like, no, we should start looking up and being like, oh, that's where they are.
Cannabis can help you do that. It's not tested, it's not fundamental, but it can give you a new purpose. Or if you like cannabis enough, think about how you're using cannabis and how can you innovate with that, because it's an open lane. Wild Wild West out here.
Absolutely.
So get
really,
creative.
though, it really is.